Tell me, because when I was looking at not just, the protests outside Barclays, and I was looking at some of the statements from, like NBA officials and statements from people like Bill de Blasio and others, I keep going, where's the science? Where's the science? And I was looking at Jonathan Isaac when he had done an interview, and he was just very calmly, very clearly saying, look, I have already had coronavirus. I have natural immunity. I made this risk assessment for myself. I made this decision for myself. If we're talking about following the science, why is nobody bringing this up? Why is nobody bringing up the fact that, healthy individuals that don't have any other comorbidities, maybe we need to be focusing on the people who maybe do, or people who are in at-risk categories, instead of just everybody generally. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've said this from the start. Personally, I'm not taking the vaccine because of the way that the medical industry, as well as this country, has treated Black people, right, for centuries. So you go back to the Tuskegee experiment, you go back to just all of these experiments that have happened on our people ever since slavery. And you can understand why Black people are reluctant to take the vaccine. Now, there's an abundance of science on both sides, and I'm not here to argue that. What I care about is people being forced to take this shot. That's my concern. If you want to take the vaccine, fine. If you don't want to take the vaccine, that's fine with me as well. But I don't think that people should be forced against their religious beliefs, against their skepticisms, to take a vaccine or be in jeopardy of losing their homes, their livelihoods, their careers, and their future. And for a lot of kids, since they're trying to push these things on, 5-year-olds, a lot of parents won't inject those things into their children. So those kids won't even get an education. These are scary times, and it's really time that people took a stand, at the very least, to demand a choice. I don't understand how Democrats could be pro-choice and want to force something into your body. And I don't understand how Republicans want to force women to have babies, but don't want to be forced to have these vaccine mandates. I can't get into the politics. I'm here to represent the interests of my people.
Right. What do you say to people, and I find this argument a lot, they say, well, there are vaccine requirements for kids in schools already. And I kind of look at well, isn't there a lot of data that going along with that? I mean, some of those vaccines, you got 30 and 40 years of data that shows any adverse reactions. I mean, even when Operation Warp Speed was just getting going, there were a lot of us going, well, we kind of want to see some long-term studies before we sign up for mandates. I mean, when people present that to you as a way to shut down your argument, I mean, do they even recognize the difference between the two?
I think the way that we win that argument, us personally, Black Lives Matter Greater New York has founded a school. We have the only Montessori school in the Bronx. So we are pretty much in favor of taking our destiny in our own hands, right? I think when people start talking about children and being forced to take vaccines to go to school, there are religious exemptions, right? There always have been religious exemptions, but those aren't being offered for the COVID vaccine, and that's really problematic.
That's a really good point, because not a lot of people, I think you're one of the first people that's actually brought that up, because there's always been exemptions offered and accepted for the previous ones. But for this one, there is no conscientious objection. There is no religious objection. There is no natural immunity exception at all whatsoever that's honored. And that seems like superstition and not science, right?
Well, for me personally, I was fine with people just being able to take tests to prove that they were that they didn't have COVID, or even what happened to the antibodies test. Remember, the antibody test was all the rave a few months ago. People don't even talk about that anymore. It's just take the shot or not. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people from my side who usually challenge the government, whether it's a Democrat or Republican in office. These folks are saying just shut up and trust the government. And that leaves me completely and totally bemused.